Larry, Fort Worth Memories Museum and Groups. It is Saturday, March 29th. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're starting our political interviews that will be on live videos, Fort Worth Memories Political Group, the regular internet, YouTube, and Scott's going to hook us into LinkedIn and Instagram. And our first guest is already here, Marshall Hobbs, and I'll have the camera on him shortly. We got to get all this gizmo hooked up. There we are. I'm gonna like it. Tell everybody good morning. Now, a lot of these candidates, as I explained to Marshall, y'all have voiced certain things that you want me to ask each and every one of them, and I'm going to. So, what I call hot topics. Okay, now we're going to share this to the internet. We're going to share it to live videos and the political group. Let me make a monitor here where Marshall can see. I would turn the fans on, but they pick up all this noise and it doesn't. All this noise and it doesn't. Okay, so you're going to be able to see that monitor.
All right.
Okay, so. Let me turn that sound down. What am I doing here, Scott? Scott, you're in? Yeah. Turn that however you need to. Okay, we've got Pamela and Jeannie's in. James Van Zant is in. Y'all don't forget we're eating at 1 today at the new Blue Mound on Vickery Street. Okay, Marshall, give us a little background, what you've done, and I've interviewed you several times. What's going on in your life?
Well, everything is great in my life. I want to first thank you for allowing me to come on this platform. I highly respect you, Larry, because what you do for the city is very important. The memories that we can look back on is gratifying to me. I look forward to seeing all the things that you show us about our history. And you know well about our history, so I really appreciate your memories, and you've been somewhat of a supporter of mine because we share some of the same values. We love Fort Worth. Exactly. I'm basically a native of Fort Worth. My parents and grandparents were born and raised here in Fort Worth, Texas, out of Como. And my grandfather owned a restaurant in Como called the Dairy Cream, not the Dairy Queen, and right across the street from Como Elementary. And they both houses are still in Como, which one of them, my mom off of Goodman, we still have, where my voter registration is at, and it's been there for over 30-something years. I'm a graduate of Trimble Tech High School here, and I went to UTA where I received my bachelor's and 2 master's degrees, one in public administration where I did focus on regional planning and development, and also served as an intern to Mayor Odom, the first mayor of black mayor of Arlington, and he gave me the opportunity to facilitate the veranda strategic planning, and we see what is happening with the veranda. And in fact, when I was at UTA, I was in the student senate, and I was one of the most prolific policy writers in the Senate. In fact, we see the recreation center got expanded there. We are now able to receive debit cards and credit cards back when I was going to school. They didn't even have it.
Yes.
And many policies like that, trying to get a chaplain to pray before our meetings. Some of them didn't want to do that because, how they're going to come off of a toga party and come in and pray at the student center.
Exactly.
But I had a good time at UTA, and I spent my life in service. I was in the military for 15 years. And came out in 1997. I went in 82, right out of high school at 17 years old. When I came back, I was a businessman, and people like Larry Barnball, Mr. Burdett, Jim Lane, Bob Bolin, just to name a few of them, kind of took me under their wings and kind of showed me the way. Bob Bolin appointed me to the Youth Commission when I was working as a juvenile parole caseworker, and juvenile probation is my past in law enforcement, and I ended up being a regional trainer auditor for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice over the Dallas-Fort Worth region before I left them after 15 years. But Bob Bolin appointed me to the Youth Commission in order to find out why youth was using drugs, participating in gangs, and should we have a curfew. And that was around 1989, 1990, 1991, when we were having real bad
Yes.
problems with gangs. And we talked about it before,
Yes.
where people like Boot Nose and Donnie Harper and Maddox and all them ended up going to prison.
Yes.
Behind trying to clean up the city of Fort Worth.
Right.
I love Fort Worth, and I don't want to have crime in our city.
Right.
We should reduce crime, because if we don't reduce crime, we can't bring business to the city. And part of bringing business to the city, corporations, is to lower the tax rate on homeowners. And that's one of my main issues in the district, is to try to cut the tax rate below Dallas and the surrounding areas so that we can give our homeowners some relief.
Yes.
From taxes, especially when you talk about Como, which is in my district. You can say that you cut taxes, but how is taxes felt being cut when your evaluation on your property is going up?
Goes up more than the cut.
I mean, my grandmother's house that my mom had, and now we have, that was $45,000. They had a cap over Como, the state legislature, where you couldn't sell a house over $45,000 because of the fact that they wanted to make sure that there was enough housing for low-income individuals.
Right.
But Lon Burnham was able to eventually get that cap off of that area. Now it's developing. But now that $45,000 house that grandma stayed in, and some of the grandmothers in Como that are still living in those houses that their parents built, is now next door to a $300,000 house, and now their evaluation went up to $150,000. So
Wow.
that 4% tax cut that Miss Mayor Parker is talking about, they don't feel. Actually, their taxes went up, and they're on a fixed income. So I want to try to find ways to make sure that we can cut the taxes on our homeowners. And part of that is to try to attract business. So we have to have crime reduced.
Sure.
Because no one wants to bring a grocery store or a business here and it's going to be robbed. And how can we find good employees when we have school board members not taking care of business, more interested in having boys going to girls' bathroom,
Yeah.
more interested in the DEI policies rather than focusing on literacy? Our kids can't read.
That's exactly right.
Over in Crowley, right now we got two of my opponents are on the school board, and teachers are talking about quitting because of the fact that they have students that are so disrespectful
Yes.
to the teachers and assaulting the teachers. I mean, how can you get off of your job and look for another job and you haven't finished the job?
Right.
Every job that I had, I completed. Just as being a professor right now. I teach at Tarrant County Community College, Northeast and Northwest Campus. I teach government. I teach us how the government was created, for what purpose it was created, how it's supposed to operate today, and how it's supposed to work for you. And I know as a servant that my job is to try to lower your taxes, not regulate you. In other words, I'm not going to tell you you have to wear a mask. I'm not going to close down your business. I'm not going to close down your church on some fake pandemic that we find out today was untrue.
Yes.
That's all my job is to give you the best expert information so that you can make the best decision for yourself.
Let me ask you a question. I see some of your ads and it says, "Let me be your man downtown."
Yes, sir.
So many of our politicians, and I say this to all of them, y'all come on my show. Manny Ramirez, I've had Manny on over 100 times.
Yes. Good.
Manny comes on all the time. He tries to stay connected.
Yeah.
A lot of these other people, that's the last time we see them until election cycle again.
Well, because I believe that politics today has become a money-making venture.
Oh, yeah.
It's either to get a job or it's either to use it as a stepping stone for something else. See, actually, I'm doing fine in my life. I'm looking at retirement. I turned 60 today. It's my birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Well, thank you, Larry. It's my birthday today, and I was planning on retiring and not giving any more service. But when people called me and asked me to run, I took it under real consideration.
Sure.
Because, in the military, I volunteered myself to give my life to the American people to keep us free.
Yes.
And especially keep the government off of the people.
Sure.
That's the main thing. My job is to try to keep the government from taking away your freedoms and your rights to move around and do whatever you want to do. We can live wherever we want to live now.
Sure.
We're not stuck inside a Como behind a wall that
Right.
some of these young people don't even know about.
Right.
I've seen the wall.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? Where you couldn't go into Ridgely or go into Westover Hills, back in the day. I also understand that government is supposed to serve the people. It's not to serve yourself. So therefore, I'm coming out of a good, lucrative business and educating kids, which is my passion. I would do that without any pay.
Sure.
But, I do that because I love helping young people understand that they have a part in this system, because government is ruled by the people through participation by voting. That's what I teach my students. But first, you got to participate.
Yes. People try to say, "Larry, you're not supposed to talk politics on the big group, Memories." Politics is your life.
Yeah.
If you're not involved, people are running over you.
Right.
Let's take a question. David Martinez, at retirement age, the taxes should go down.
Exactly.
And by claiming head of household, those senior citizens should get a lower rate. If they're disabled, there should be a better rate for them also.
Well, and that is my priority, because see, in order to help those in Como, I would want to try to increase their homestead taxes exemption so that they won't feel the tax increase due to the increased evaluation of their property. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
I talked to Rick Barnes,
Sure.
He's a good
tax
guy.
assessor.
Yeah, he's our tax assessor now, and I had him sit me down and give me an education on taxes, because I want to make sure that I understand what I'm doing. See, look, when I get on the city council, my job is to find out the best way to make your quality of life better.
That's exactly right.
Fort Worth is a family town. And we want to try to keep that family feel, even though we are growing dramatically. We the 11th largest city, and Mike Moncrief, which has endorsed me, even reminded me probably by the time that I finish a term on the city council, we're probably going to be around 6 or 4
Yes.
in the nation as far as the largest city. And see, what a lot of people don't understand, Fort Worth was here first. It wasn't Dallas. You know, Dallas only came to being because they had the railroad coming from down in Galveston through Houston up to Kansas in order to transport our cattle.
Do you know that Dallas was named by a Tarrant County lady?
Well, see, again, Fort Worth is first. This is where the West began. We own all this land out here, as far as up to Denton, all the way out to Weatherford, all the way down darn near to Hillsborough.
Right.
We got a whole lot of land to build on, and part of District 6, we have an ETJ that goes around Benbrook Lake that allows us to have enough land to develop. Now, I understand nobody want to see a whole lot of skyscrapers, but if we don't bring business to this city, I cannot lower your tax rate. I want to be able to broaden our tax base with mixed use development, smart mixed use development. You know, that's one of the fortunate things that from my degree at UTA and my master's is regional planning and development. And part of that I'm going to use in order to have good, smart, planned mixed use development, especially around Tarleton State. You know,
another thing, and I think it falls more on the county commissioners and basically in Manny's court. We built all of these nice developments up north of town, Haslett, all of that, and there's a 2-lane road going to it.
Oh man!
I mean, what's up with that?
Yeah, well, I have, I love my girl Maddie Parker, but I have one criticism. I need her as well as the city council. I would go with her to lobby to try to expand I-35. It doesn't make any sense that I-35 is almost like Austin. You remember when you go through Austin, you barely can get through there off of I-35. Yeah. They even double-decked it in order to try to relieve the traffic.
Right.
But now you go from about Meacham Boulevard off of I-35, the traffic is running tight all the way down darn near to Burleson by Rendon Road.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense that we don't have enough room to move. Right. We got and because of this fast development, we got to get ahead of the curve as it pertains to infrastructure. We cannot be focusing on social issues. Hey, look, government is about providing those essential services: police, fire, EMS, infrastructure as far as our streets and water. That's what we need to be focusing on. We don't need to be focusing on building more rooftops and a whole bunch of apartments either.
No.
We don't need that attraction.
Something else that our group has talked about, we are such a attractive area to move to, and they're coming in here faster than anywhere in the country. Can't we force these developers to say, yeah, you want to build this development over here? You're going to have to pay for the roads to get fixed here. I mean, why don't we make them pay for some of this?
And that will be an objective of mine, because we all got to have skin in the game. And Fort Worth is an attractive city, and in fact, I'm going to do exactly what Bob Boland had taught me back a long time ago when he was alive and well as a mayor of Fort Worth. He said, Marshall, I'm a peddler. You know what a peddler is? And I said, sir, yeah, I think I know what a peddler is. He said, well, let me tell you, I sell Fort Worth. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell Fort Worth. I'm going to sell my district, because we are attractive. And if you want to do business here, then there's going to be a trade-off.
Yeah.
There ain't going to be no tax abatement.
Yes.
No. Because we don't need to give you a tax abatement. There's a lot of people that would love to get on the land here in Fort Worth, Texas.
Just like when we missed, everybody said we missed the Toyota factory. No, we didn't miss anything. Let them go over there to Frisco.
Yeah.
There's other people behind them. There's more than one big company. While we're on that subject, all of my members want to know about this antique mall and the hotel. I'm going to give you my take. It's 50 feet from the arena. It's going to be a hotel. I don't think there's any way to stop it. But they want to know what your view is on that. What's your take?
Well, I'm not one to hinder development.
Okay.
As long as it's smart and as long as it's planned. I'm not too familiar with it, and because it's already taking place, I would want to try to make sure that it is managed in such a way that it is hiring Fort Worth people, because I believe growing within, just like with Mr. Chopper, I wouldn't have had a problem with Mr. Chopper becoming the city manager of Fort Worth. He's a good man.
Sure he is.
In fact, I would have took him to my district and introduced him to everybody in the district, which I intend to do, is to stay in touch with my district. I want to know what the people want in the district, not what Marshall Hobbs wants.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
That's the best saying.
Yeah.
Another thing that, now Maddie has weighed in on it, Fort Worth ISD, I know that's not in y'all's wheelhouse. But hey, we stand up for y'all. Something's got to be done over there.
Well,
I mean, these kids, I had a sophomore at Pascal High School about this time last year, said, Larry, could I wash cars for you? And I said, sure. And I've got a little old pad of applications that I get from the Save-On or the office supply. It's just a basic deal. And he's looking at it and got his pen and he's got his name on there. And I said, is there a problem? And he said, could I take it home and fill it out? And I said, you're in the 10th grade and you can't fill out your street address and your social security number? That's all it's asking. And he got embarrassed and left, but I mean, my gosh.
Yeah, that is the travesty of this whole thing. How can you run for city council and you haven't finished the job on the school board? We got 2 people that are running right now that's on the school board, and they trying to get another job. I'm not trying to get a job. I'm actually coming out of a job. I'm going to have to give up one of my jobs in order for me to serve the people of District 6. Okay? It's not about money. It's not about trying to start another career. I have a career in law enforcement. I had a career in as an educator, and I've had a career in the military. So
Right.
I'm coming out of a career in order to serve the people once again. Now, this is the issue. I want to use our churches, I want to use our community centers, and I want to use charter schools in order to help with literacy. Because how are we going to be able to, people like yourself, hire people that can't read?
Right.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
And every last superintendent, every last school board member should be fired and probably put in jail for malfeasance, not doing their job, because you're producing bad products.
Yes.
All right? And I know because I help kids get jobs. I've helped kids get jobs. In fact, I just helped my little cousin get a job at Soul Man Barbecue. Now listen to this. Politics is about relationships.
Right.
I've built relationships with people. I didn't just meet you, Larry.
No.
I've been knowing you for years.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't just know Mike Moncrief. I
No.
didn't just know Mr. Jungus that's supporting me. I've been knowing these people for years, and building those relationships is what I'm trying to do as far as trying to help these young people. The man that owns Soul Man Barbecue, and I go all the way back when I was pastoring a church in Roy City where they actually started.
Wow.
And they opened up a Soul Man Barbecue right there in the middle of my district, actually, off of Sycamore School Road in Hewlett. And I went in and I said, hey man, you think you can hire my little cousin? And he said, yeah, sure. Have him come over here and fill out an application. He put in the application, and that young man is a straight A student. We stay on top of him to make sure he's, real good with his education, and as well as a good sportsman. He plays basketball.
And a lot of I had a person in here the other day. They didn't want me to say their name, and they said, Larry, the problem with Fort Worth ISD and any inner city schools is the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, I'll buy that. How can a mother that's single and has 3 kids that has to work 2 or 3 jobs stay on top of her kids? So
Exactly.
for years, I've tried to get our members to say, let's do this. Let's adopt a child, but we're really not adopting them. Go to the Boys and Girls Club and say, well, I want to help this young man here. And when the mother calls and says, Larry, I got to work a double shift over here. Hey, don't worry. I'm going to check on the kids. In fact, I'm going to go get them a pizza and bring it to them. Make sure they're doing the homework. We've got to start acting as a community.
Right.
Everybody. And what you said about the churches, I don't know why when I was growing up, there was a movie coming out that was held up for almost a year because Clark Gable said damn. They had a censor board for movies, and in the movie Gone with the Wind, he said, frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn. They wouldn't let that open till, I don't know if they ever took it out, but it didn't open for 6 months. Why don't we have our faith-based community help out on some of these problems?
Well, that's a good thing. I got the mercy culture. Justice and Liberty is endorsing me and supporting me in the campaign. I intend, but being a former pastor in the African Methodist Episcopal Church, I'm ordained both in the Baptist and the Methodist Church. And my dad and my granddad and great-grandfather were all ministers in the AME Church. I believe that it is the church responsibility to help out with the community. And part of that, and I'm glad that school choice is part of the agenda here in Texas, because now you can have choice. You can send your kid to a school that believe in God and teach them Christian values. The good thing about the church is that the church can help in changing the culture from smoking marijuana, following behind people like Megan Thee Stallion and all these rappers that are teaching materialism and all that debauchery that they teach. We need to have good role models.
Sure.
We even got these Democrat politicians now that are blatantly going on TV cursing.
Yeah.
And starting all this divisiveness that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You and I are people.
That's exactly right.
We're human. I don't see you any different. I treat you with respect. You treat me with respect and dignity. We are past the old 1960s stuff.
We're past that.
We're past that.
Yeah.
I can live wherever I want to live now.
Sure.
I can marry whoever I want to marry.
Sure you can.
I can be able to eat at any restaurant I want to eat at. Now, nobody can stop me. I don't have to go to no white bathroom or a black bathroom or a white fountain or anything like that. Those issues are over. We are Americans.
That is right.
We are Americans, and we need to start acting that way, and we need to start working with our youth and trying to help them. So literacy is one. Financial literacy. The pandemic hurt me.
Hurt me? They closed me down.
Man, the pandemic hurt me. A Black Lives Matter female reported me saying that I allegedly was not enforcing the mask mandate that we know that doesn't work today.
Well,
and they let me go for that.
Like here, they closed down the car washes. So I got a hold of Betsy. Betsy was the mayor then. I said, Betsy, if Marshall Hobbs wants to bring his car or truck over here, he can say, Larry, I'm parking the car. The keys are in the floorboard. Okay, Marshall, we'll get it cleaned up. We never touch hands or anything. I'll call you when it's ready. Here's my credit card number. I don't even have to see you. I'm not like a regular car. Well, it doesn't matter. So somebody said, well, go ahead and open up. You'd thought it was a code enforcement convention out here the next day.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, like 8 or 9 cars. And I said, man, y'all are killing us. How are we going to pay anything?
But see, this is the point. And you mentioned Betsy Price. I think she's a fine woman.
Yep.
But I don't like her politics. You're not a dictator. You don't dictate to people what they can and cannot do and stop their freedom. That was the problem I had with Miss Betsy Price. And in fact, she's endorsing the female that's running against me in this race. And I guarantee you, if she gets into office, she's going to do the same thing. It's the government is going to try to shut you down. Going to try to shut down your church. Going to make you wear a mask. Going to make you get a vaccine and you don't even know what the side effects are. And a lot of people that got those vaccines today probably are having problems. They're getting just as sick after having the doggone vaccine. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It is not the government's job to tell us how to live our freaking lives. It is the government job to make sure that I have adequate police. It's to make sure that I have adequate fire, where the firefighters can get to the emergency real quick, and EMS can get to your mother or your grandmother or somebody that's having a heart attack, so it can save their lives in an adequate time. You know, Fort Worth is number one as far as their service, as far as responding. I was sitting on the Fort Worth Community Development Council that Mayor Kay Granger appointed me to. I was the vice chair. And when the fire department came to us about these Optech machines that, that goes on the traffic lights, where when they getting ready to come through, they can shut down the lights so they can get through real quick. I was one of the main proponents to make sure that got passed and sent it up to Miss Granger, and Miss Granger passed it. You know,
I didn't even know we had that.
Yeah, yes. I mean, when they brought that technology to us, man, I was head on for that. You know, because I knew that it was going to make sure that our people were safe, and that our fire will be able to get to the fire quickly and get it out so we can save somebody home, and that EMS is able to get to our people and save their lives. My job, again, when I'm elected to this city council, is number one, is to peddle Fort Worth and peddle my district in order to make sure that we can broaden the tax base so I can cut the taxes on our elderly and help our young people to be able to buy a home for the first time. It doesn't make any sense when you have politicians that are just running for office just to be running for office so they can use it as a stepping stone to get to another position, or just so they can be able to get on the news and make hay and division like they did with Chopper. It didn't make any sense. We need to work. Fort Worth is about working together.
That's exactly right.
Okay? It's about working together, and we're going to plan to make sure that Fort Worth continue to be that golden city up on top of the hill where the Panther lie in Tarrant County, very quietly. But we got strength. And that's what I like about Fort Worth.
Let me touch on a couple of deals here. This is going to come up during your tenure. Casino gambling. I've already been asked by several groups to have both pro and con people that are knowledgeable about the aspect of it. What is just a broad structure? What do you think about casino gambling?
Well, right now, I believe it's an issue that is facing the legislature,
right.
And
they've got to change the Constitution.
Right, and to be honest with you, here in Texas, it's very difficult to make that change. We, the people, got to make the change. So if the people go and vote that they want casinos, I want to make sure that we limit how many casinos that we have, maybe just one in the city, a major one, if that is to be. But see, you got to think about the downside of casinos. You know, when you have casinos, you can end up bringing in crime.
Yes. You
can end up, worsening our infrastructure, which is something that I'm not too interested in. But my job, again, I'm going to listen to the people. And what the people want, we're going to do some smart planning in order to do it, in order for the people of Fort Worth to enjoy it. Okay? But I'm not one to try to prevent smart development.
Make sure you go on here and answer these questions and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Here, a lot of people are loving this interview. One other thing, potholes.
Oh, man.
I mean, our streets are terrible.
Yeah, they are. And I don't like that.
Well, who do we have to complain to? Everybody tells me, Larry, get the app. My Fort Worth, I've got that app. Mm-hmm. I've been dodging the same potholes coming from Springtown area for 9 years.
It's your city council person. It's your mayor. You got to, instead of focusing on things that are not city council essential, that's essential. Fixing your streets. What's happening in Washington, D.C. and what's happening down there in Austin does not have any effect unless the legislature go trying to force taking over our zoning. I don't want the state legislature determining our zoning down here in Fort Worth. I will lobby against it. Mr. Guerin, I'm telling you right now, I'm not in support of that.
Yeah.
Leave the zoning alone. Allow us to be able to determine how Fort Worth, we want to develop Fort Worth, because we're not a Houston.
No.
And we're surely not a Dallas. I'm just like Mr. Carter. I never liked Dallas. You know?
We don't even say that name on this group.
That's right. I wish they would change the Dallas Cowboys to the DFW Cowboys.
We call it the city to the east.
Yeah, the city to the east. And
okay, one other thing that a lot of people are curious about is, how do you think with the, you kind of know who's the incumbent and who might get replaced. How is Marshall Hobbs going to be able to work with Matty Parker, these different Chris Nettles, whoever is, and you're running for a seat that I really respected, Jared Williams.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good guy. He stood up when they tried to start a card room there in his area.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get news of it because they tried to sweep it underneath the carpet. He got a hold of it and put a stop to it.
Okay.
Because another thing that gambling brings is, it's just another. A lot of people don't have a lot of strong willpower, and I've had employees tell me, "Me and the girls are going to go up here to WinStar. Can I borrow an extra $40?" And I said, "I thought you're renting everything." Well, I'm gonna take all that money that I've got and go up there and win enough to pay 2 months. But she comes back, she doesn't have anything.
Well, and let me tell you, I ended up in ownership of my mother's house because of gambling. I hate to say it, but she loved to go to WinStar. Okay? And in order for to cover her checks, I ended up having to give up the property in order for her to borrow against it, which I paid the bill, in order for her to pay off those checks.
Yeah.
That's one of the main reasons why I'm not interested in gambling.
Right.
And I'm not much of a drinker anymore. I grew up with a colonel that looked like you pretty much, and he was a real good guy to me. And at the age of 17, he would smoke cigars and, drink Knob Creek. Okay, and one day, man, I liked strawberry daiquiris in the summer. Kind of cooled down. I got off work, doing investigations, and I changed my clothes, got comfortable, and turned on my TV. And while I was watching the news and getting ready to drink one of those strawberry daiquiris from Fuzzy's that they selling for $5, Mr. Gupta came on and said that he's going to require, the new Surgeon General, require liquor stores or liquor companies to put on their label that warning, you're drinking, this is poison. And when I saw that and they said that you're drinking poison, I looked at the strawberry daiquiri and I looked at the TV and I said, well, I'm going to drink this one strawberry daiquiri. I hadn't had one since.
Wow.
And the other thing is that I got a good friend of mine that I grew up with that went to work out in the oil field, ended up becoming an alcoholic. This man can't stop drinking.
Yeah.
Making $350,000 a year, down making nothing.
Yeah.
Lost his wife, lost his family. I even wanted to open up a liquor store one time, and now I'm glad that I didn't. But I tell you, I wouldn't be one to want to zone more liquor stores inside the District 6, because I see how much of a danger it is, and how some people just, they can't kick it.
No.
So gambling, drinking, and all this marijuana stuff, it all got to stop. I mean, how are you going to support the idea of recreational marijuana? I mean, that's only diluting the minds of our kids.
Yeah.
It's stopping their opportunities before they even can get there. Especially when the school boards and schools are not helping with literacy with our kids. I mean, you're going to give them marijuana now? I had a teacher tell me when I first started running in this district. She came to me, she said, I hope you get in, because we need to do something about our schools over here in Crowley. And she said, I said, well, what is the problem? She said, I'm really thinking about quitting. You can't make the kids go to class. And then when you're walking down the hall, it reeks of marijuana with the kids smoking marijuana.
Yeah, that's bad.
So my opponents need to go back to the school board and do their job and let me run the city council.
And one last thing on gambling. One of these groups came to me and they said, will you support us? And I said, let me tell you a story. Texans have a long memory.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, okay. And I said, when y'all got the lotteries here, y'all promised us all this money for the schools and you lied.
That's right.
And I said, we don't forget it.
That's right.
And the guy said, you know what, you're right. And I said, see, we don't believe in that sign now and read it later deal. That ain't the way we operate.
Well, it's the same way with all the gas and stuff.
Yeah.
They were supposed to allocate that money toward infrastructure, if I'm not mistaken. And where is that money?
Yeah.
You talk about potholes. Where's the money that's coming from all these different wells?
Yeah.
See, that's what I don't think my opponents are thinking about. I'm looking at trying to make the lives of District 6 better. That's my job. And I'm educated enough to research everything. I'm going to research. I'm going to talk to the right people. You ask me how am I going to work with others? I'm only one vote on the city council.
That's right.
And I need to make sure that I have 4 other or 5 other votes in order to win. In order to win from my district. So I'm not going to be so divisive, calling people names out in public.
Yeah.
Talking about them behind their back. That's nothing but a hypocrite.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, that one of my opponents is supported by one of the hypocrites that talked about Mr. Crane in a bad way, calling them a racist and all that kind of stuff. That kind of divisive talk is not good.
No.
For our city council and not for Fort Worth.
No.
I have to work with everyone in order to make sure that District 6 get what they want, my people, because they telling me what they want. On day one, I will instruct the city staff and my staff to set up a strategic planning for District 6 so that I can find out exactly what District 6 want, Combo and the southwest side of Fort Worth, and make sure that it fits within the Fort Worth strategic plan that Ms. Parker is trying to do. And when I'm on that council, I'm going to be working daily in order to try to make sure that we achieve that strategic plan. I'm already going in talking about how we're going to make the lives of the people of District 6 better. It's about the quality of life.
Yeah. So I ask this to every person I interview. When you get elected, will you come back on our show?
Oh, yeah. You know, I'll come back on your show.
Because the people, we've got, this one group's got 131,000 active members.
Mm-hmm.
And they're pretty vocal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you a good example. When that CCPD vote was coming up, Manny said, let me come over and talk to the people, because he was the head of the Fort Worth POA. And so he said it might take two sessions. Came over and questions were flying in. He said, that was on a Monday. He said, I'll be back on Friday. Y'all think about it. He came back on 6 more times. He said, they're not getting it. I gotta do more. I'll be back next Monday.
Well, we got the board, we got the bond election that's coming up. I need to keep the people informed of what's going on with the bond. So therefore, I will definitely be talking with the district, keeping them informed. So this is a good platform in order to do that. I have over 5,000 followers on my Facebook alone.
You know, people, I don't think, of course everybody complains about the taxes, but if we knew where the money was going, it would help. It makes it easier.
We need to do a Doge here in Fort Worth.
You ain't kidding.
You know, because we don't need to be spending money on things that are not a part of essential services.
Right.
Fixing the streets, making sure we have adequate... Man, in District 6, they have staff right now, the police officers, and the Police Officers Association haven't endorsed anybody. If they did, I think they endorsed my opponent. But you know, they're part of that wine and cheese and book club group that are not like you and I.
Yeah.
The average person. And we don't need some more of those downtown folks trying to dictate what's going on in my district. You see? So, I believe that we should make sure that the people know exactly. I will definitely be transparent. I'm a very transparent person.
That's what we want.
Fort Worth.
We can't make it down there. Well, Larry, I've heard politicians say, well, you can get it on our TV channel. Well, hell, there ain't nobody looking at that. They want to hear the person saying it. One last thing, I just got a question. In some of the neighborhoods, our bus system, where they wait, where the bus stops, they're not even covered. If it's raining, you just get wet.
Well, you know, if that's what my district needs, that's what we will get. Because it's about the essential services. How can I make the quality of life of the people better? Because, see, when that development start happening out there, we're going to have transportation to get those people to those jobs. And I would hate for them to have to sit out in the rain while they're trying to get to their job. So my job, again, is to try to make sure that the quality of life of the people that live in District 6 is better.
So we've got, what, 4 weeks before, 4.5 weeks?
Yes, sir.
You're welcome to come back on because they're loving it.
Oh, man. I love talking to the people.
Yeah.
You know, my grandfather told me this when I first started pastoring. He said, son, this is about the people's business. He said, if you don't love people, you can't pastor.
You ain't got no business being a pastor.
I love people. And, you know, unfortunately, I've been divorced 5 times. And I finally realized the 5th time. Now, understand, those 5 women were the women I dated. And when I dated them, I married them. Okay? I found out that my problem is that I love what I do. And what I do is help people. I serve people. And being a workaholic to serve the people is what I love to do. And it will ruin the marriage.
Yeah.
So therefore, that's my sin. That's just like Fort Worth Report. You know, they go ask a question about bankruptcy. Well, let me tell you about why I had to file bankruptcy. It's because during the pandemic, a Black Lives Matter student alleged that I wasn't enforcing the mask mandate. And the contract that I had with the security company that I was working for had a contract with the federal government, defense industry. And I'm not going to name them because the reason is because they're good people. But because Mr. Biden got in office, when Mr. Biden got in office, he wanted to enforce the vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
I refused to take the vaccine. So they had to lay me off. Now, when you go from $10,000 a month in revenue income down to $2,500, and you got a $6,500 outlay of liabilities, the good thing about our Constitution and Article 1, Section 8, it gives Congress the power in order to create laws as it pertains to bankruptcy. Why? Because of when government overreach, like Betsy go closing down businesses, making people get vaccines from wearing a mask, making people like me that are doing a good job. I was with Colin Collins for 3 years and had a glowing evaluation, and no one wanted to work in the classroom during the pandemic. And my boss asked me if I would drive all the way to Frisco in order to teach those students. And a BLM student, I guess my black life didn't matter because I ended up getting laid off because of a mask mandate that we found out that don't work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had to file bankruptcy, and you know what? It was the best thing that happened to me, and I'm glad Fort Worth Report asked me the question. You know why? Because I learned financial literacy. Some of the young men in my district need some financial literacy. You know, instead of me having car notes, motorcycle notes, and boat notes, and all those notes that I had, now I love driving my old truck and have money in my pocket.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
So the best thing that ever happened to me was that bankruptcy, because I learned how to manage the money that I have a whole lot better than I used to.
Yeah.
And then they want to take my pictures of bodybuilding. I was a 7-time first place winner in the National Physique Committee and ranked 4th nationally among 50 bodybuilders that was invited to the master's class in the nation.
Wow.
But they want to take my picture of me looking at my arm, you know what I'm saying, and try to denigrate me and try to make me look bad. But you know what? I'm glad that the news want to do that, because you know that took determination, that took focus, and that took discipline. And I will give the same thing to my district when I am on the city council. I will give them that same discipline, I will give them that same focus, and I will give them that same determination in order to make sure that the lives of the people in that district is better.
Marshall, I appreciate you.
Man, I appreciate you.
Stay in contact.
I will.
Anything I can do to help.
Yeah.
Where Michael Crane, your buddy, is fixing to walk through the door.
Yeah. Good guy.
Good guy.
Good guy.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And
I want to tell everybody on your show that's looking at this show, thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you.
Well, that's right. We're just people.
Yeah. And if you want to talk to me, you can contact me and I will talk to you. I'll respond. I will respond. Because I say this, I will be reasonable, I will be responsive, and I will give you darn good leadership. Vote for Marshall Hobbs, City Council, District 6.
District 6.
I want to be your man downtown.